Hey guys, it is May 16th today. It's Saturday, so finally the weekend. Okay, I'll explain why I don't learn Estonian living in Estonia and why I instead study Russian. Okay, I've been living now in Estonia for about 10 months. I've learned a lot about the culture and the people, both good and bad. The language is one of these things that is very important in a country and society. Before I came to Estonia, I did some private lessons with a Estonian tutor about 2 years ago, and then I kind of off and on continued studying the language a bit. And then when I came here, I initially, for about the first month, I made attempts at it, and then I realized it wasn't really that necessary. I actually realized that Russian's a more beneficial language. Now remember here, I came over from Russia. I was living in Russia. I had been there and I was studying the language there, and what you'll find in Estonia is that a huge percentage of the people actually speak Russian. Not necessarily as a first language, maybe a second language, and many more can at least understand it. So English is of course kind of their second language officially for people that study a language, but Russian is also widely spoken due to their history and roots here, and it's very beneficial language. What I found with Estonian is that it wasn't a language that within outside people it's widely spoken. In many cases, Estonians I noticed prefer speaking in English, even more so if the person could speak decent English. And this is just practical reasons. It makes total sense to me. As I spent more time here, I realized also very small percentage of people spoke the language. It would actually be more practical when we look at Russian language is spoken by over 200 million people in the world. There's varying statistics here, but it's spoken by 100 million plus, we'll say. This is a very useful language. Now also remember that Russian has a lot of similarities to other Slavic languages like Polish, Ukrainian, Slovak, and a couple others. They're all within the same family. Especially with Ukrainian, if you know Russian, it's very easy to pick up Ukrainian, and it's not just a matter of knowing the Russian language, you also have a good understanding of the other Slavic language group. When we look at Estonian, it actually only shares similarities to both Finnish and Hungarian, two relatively small countries. Also understand that Finland, most people speak very good English. Hungarian, it's also becoming much more common. Now, if someone has kind of intrinsic cultural reasons to learn Estonian, that's excellent, honestly. Like, it can definitely go a long way, honestly. Or if you want to go into like sales or something in a day-to-day role where you'll need to know the language. But many roles, especially for foreign people, don't require Estonian. As I had stated, Russian would actually be more useful nowadays. Now let's also look at the demographic that's growing steadily in this country. It's actually people of Estonians of Russian speaking background. That their demographic is steadily growing within Generation Z. Estonians, on the other hand, it's not growing quite as quickly. So if we look at further out 10 or 20 years, most likely there'll be a significantly larger Russian-speaking demographic compared to Estonian. Also look at the growing empire in Russia, in the growing East, both China and Russia, and the significance they're playing on a world scale. It's highly likely that in the future, Russian will become even more common and popular than it is now. I foresee and predict. And for these reasons, amongst others, I think Russian is much more practical and useful. Also understand that Russian is naturally more international language. It covers a much more significant demographic of people, and Russians as a whole feel very international. It's very useful if you're a foreign person. They will gladly speak to you in Russian and will practice, and it's very acceptable. There's not a lot of judgment and criticism, and it's just useful. That's kind of my outlook on it, and give me your feedback here. Thank you.